All of a sudden, he did go very ashen, very pale, and he described a woman in a terracotta dress coming down the stairs.
There's that many different kinds of phenomena reported regularly. Something's happening here.
Belgrave Hall in Leicester, steeped in mysteries for centuries. A Victorian woman has repeatedly been seen and heard walking its corridors. But recently, the ghostly rumors were propelled into the 21st century by this CCTV image of what appears to be the mysterious resident. Staff contacted paranormal investigators to get to the bottom of the mystery.
Our approach really is to recreate by natural means whatever the anomaly is.
It happened just before Christmas '98, and we did our investigation in March '99.
From early on in their investigations, many witnesses were claiming that this was the ghost of Charlotte Ellis.
The Ellis family, the most interesting of all the families who've lived at Belgrave Hall, he came here in about 1845. There were 5 daughters who remained in the house until they passed away, and the last one did so in 1923. 5 very interesting women. All of them had very strong personalities, particularly Charlotte. John Ellis purposely brought this house to bring some security to the girls, to the women. This house really became their refuge.
I've worked for the museums now for 16 years, and I've heard stories about the hall. One day, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I came into the hall and the 2 museum assistants were stood roughly where I'm stood now, and I could hear footsteps upstairs. I said, we have a visitor in, I really think one of you should be upstairs patrolling. And they both looked at me and said, no, we haven't. And I said, well, I can hear the footsteps. And they said, so can we. Which then encouraged me to go upstairs to see the visitor. And there was nobody there. They knew full well that there was nobody in the house. So maybe they were having a little bit of a game with me being the new groom and everything, so, you know, he'll learn that sometimes you hear footsteps here and there is nobody in the house.
The paranormal team realized the CCTV image was just the beginning of a lengthy investigation. Belgrave Hall's ghostly activities were extensive.
Because so many different people have had multiple witnesses to different events here. People have had different experiences, ranging from full colour apparition to cooking smells and other anomalous sounds. And the whole area around Belgrave, there appears to be something going on here.
A few years ago, I believe it was November, a colleague and I were downstairs in the hall. We were talking, there was nobody in. And then we heard footsteps crossing the landing. So he looked at me and said, I thought we were empty. I said, well, that makes 2 of us. I said, I thought we were. So he said, tell you what we'll do, bolt the door. So we bolted the front and back doors. So nobody, you know, if somebody tried to get out, we'd hear the bolts going. We then both came up, looked under the beds, lifted the chests, and at the end of it we looked, and as this chap said to me, I've never believed in ghosts or anything, he said, but I can't explain that. And still to this day, only the once, but I'm convinced we heard footsteps.
I've heard things, I've spoke to people who have seen things, and I've spoke to other people who have heard things. And interestingly, when the media bandwagon started a few years ago, the nice thing about that is that visitors who came to the hall in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s started to come forward and give us their stories. So there's a vast amount of stories about what people have seen and experienced in the hall.
The growing number of witness accounts of unusual phenomena convinced the investigators to conduct a series of scientific vigils.
When we're on a vigil, what we do is arrange to have 45-minute sessions.
The team used a range of high-tech detection equipment, from electromagnetic radiation detectors to highly sensitive audio monitoring equipment. Everything that is seen or heard is meticulously recorded and cross-referenced to eliminate all possible explainable sources. Despite the team's objective attempts to discover rational explanations, some incidents simply couldn't be resolved by scientific means.
Well, on one of the vigils that we did here, a couple of our investigators heard a very loud sigh up on the first floor. It was certainly heard because it was heard by more than one person. That actually remains unsolved. We don't know what that sigh was.
Fresh accounts of actual sightings continued to motivate the investigations.
He was standing around the fireplace trying to keep him warm, really, and Mike was looking up the stairwell. All of a sudden, he did go very ashen, very pale, and he described a woman in a terracotta dress coming down the stairs. He thought that she seemed to stop near a window just at the bottom of the stairwell and then pass away, but when he tried to look properly at her, it disappeared.
Some of the reported phenomena have been, of course, the lady in the terracotta-coloured dress coming down the stairs, looking through the window, then walking towards the scullery here.
The sightings we've had of her, both sightings have put her in the same style of dress, which we can take it back to the 1870s, 1880s, when the Ellises lived in the house. Whether it's one of Ellis's daughters, John Ellis's daughters, I don't know. There is something in the house.
It's very difficult to say who the person is in the terracotta dress, we have to say. Charlotte was muted as somebody who possibly could have been. And also it's recorded within the diarist that she really loved the gardens.
The gardener at Belgrave Hall has himself claimed to have witnessed the apparition. But he is only one of the hall's many visitors with experiences they cannot explain.
When he walked in, he was sitting in the mess room and he said he was sitting there shaking, his hair was standing on him. Part of the expression, it was like you've seen a ghost. He said, well, I have. I went in the music room, there's something in there, and he said, I'm out. He said, I don't know what it is, but I sensed something in the music room. He said, I'm not going in there.
Amid the ever-growing mass of accounts from numerous witnesses, the men from ASAP believe that in at least one of their investigations, they may have made their first breakthrough.
People were suggesting it looked like a moth and looked like a bat, so we brought plastic bats, and thankfully, at the time we were recreating, a moth did fly by, so we eliminated that one.
It turned out in the end to be an oak leaf. And I was the one volunteered to climb the ladder and wave the bat and drop the various leaves down. But the one particular oak leaf that we dropped recreated the
more or less
anomaly,
exactly, didn't it?
more or less exactly.
People fall into two camps. There's those that believe and there's others who just don't believe. I don't think there's a middle path with this, on this subject, personally speaking.
There's that many different kinds of phenomena reported regularly that it's still intriguing that something's happening here. We've had things on camera, on audio sounds, which we can't explain. There's something happening around here which is intriguing, and we'll carry on, hopefully, to try and investigate the cause.